Awesome. Well, welcome Shana Weddington to the Great Lakes Herb Fair Roundtable.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Of course. Let's get to know you a little bit more. Who are you and what do you do in the realm of herbalism?
Yeah. So you introduced me perfectly, said my name correctly. Kudos and
Oh,
points to you.
awesome.
Yeah, my name is Shana Weddington. I am based in Chelsea, Michigan,
Nice.
which for folks who don't know is a small little kind of rural community about 45 minutes west of Detroit, 20 minutes west of Ann Arbor. Um, and in the realm of herbalism, I do a couple of different things. So I own my own practice called Giving Root Wellness, which is an education-based practice. I also manage Thomas Easley's practice
Oh,
at the Eclectic School of Herbal Medicine. So he and I on Fridays and occasional other days will sit down together and see clients together.
nice.
And we do a clinical herbalism and practice series together, so people can sign up if they're budding herbalists or just curious about what the world of clinical herbalism looks like. We live stream a consult, and then you get access to the classroom to be able to see kind of and come along with us for the follow-ups, see what care plans are put together, what soap notes look like, that kind of thing. I also manage a little year-round farmers market called Agricole Farm Stop, located downtown. And we focus on all locally grown, locally made, locally prepared. And so I utilize my role as an herbalist and my passion as an herbalist to help launch other herbalists and their product lines and help them, have a little bit of more of an outlet than just sitting at a farmer's market.
So you probably win the award for the closest drive to the Great Lakes Herb Fair then.
I do. Yeah, and in terms of the Great Lakes Herb Fair, I have been the food coordinator for quite a long time. I
Oh,
wasn't the food coordinator for the first year. I volunteered the first year, and I was the person that stuck around the longest after the fair ended to help clean up. And then when they needed somebody, they called me. So so that would have been 2016, I believe, is when I started food coordinating. And with my passion and background in local food economy, I have utilized that to get as much local food to the fair as possible. So we obviously went online for a couple of years there, but when we did return in person in 2022, uh, we had, I would say, it was about 95% of our budget went to local food
wow.
and hyper local. Like we had farmers down the way, we had meat raised in the backyard and things like that, like in terms of relative location to the backyard of where herb fair happens. So
Nice.
yeah, so it's been, and last year we had a great year in terms of food. We had an excellent chef and an excellent team, and we were able again to, leverage Agricole Farm Stop as well as all of my connections with local farmers and local food producers to get as much locally raised and locally produced food as we could there.
Now the chef you're referring to, that's Lindsay Feldposh's husband, right?
Sure is, Brian.
Brian,
Yes.
shout out Brian. And I just got to say, I'm glad we're talking about the food here. Definitely one of the best menus at herb conferences I've been to. And I've been to a lot of herbalism events, and it's always such high quality. I remember the first year I was there, I want to say y'all served Tom Kha Gai, which was like such a treat. It's one of my favorite soups. And I just couldn't believe that I was getting to have that at an herb conference.
Yeah. Yeah. I think combined with high quality food, and
Yeah.
then Brian just brings something really special and really fun flavors and um, really unique foods. Nothing that we do at the Great Lakes Herb Fair to me feels like a typical conference or conference food. It feels like something really special and like home cooked and lots of good accoutrement, if you will, which is all the sides and hot sauces and ferments
Yeah.
and things like that. So yeah,
Plenty of
really,
coffee and tea too.
yes, yep. And we keep that coffee and tea rolling, as much as we possibly can, keep the people warm and happy.
I do remember using some of the fermented hot sauce on like my eggs and whatnot. Where's the fermented hot sauce coming from?
The Brinery. So that's a
Wow.
local, yep, local guy, David. Oh, his last name is evading me at the moment, but he actually donated all of that ferment and all of that hot sauce for us last year. So shout out to the Brinery.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Are you teaching any classes this year, or are you kind of more involved in the
Yeah.
food side of things? Okay, yeah, what are you teaching?
Yeah, so I made my debut in teaching actually at the 2022 Herb Fair, and I taught a class on herbs for brain fog.
Hmm.
So that was well received. And this year, I'm going to be teaching on herbs for cervical health. So I like to talk about really specific items in a very short window of time. You don't get a ton of time to dive super deep at a conference, but I like to go over a little bit of an overview. And I also like to talk about things that I see a lot in my clinical practice that might not be talked about very frequently, or people are just starting to kind of talk about it. And so that's what I'm researching and diving deep into this year, and we'll be presenting.
So you work at the Eclectic School of
Yes,
Botanical Medicine, if I'm getting that correct, with Thomas. Did you study there as well then?
I did. Yep, I graduated in 2019.
Incredible program. I've known a lot of graduates over the years, and yeah, it just really sets you up
Yeah.
nicely for a career in herbalism. So you've been to the fair many a time now. What is your favorite part about the Great Lakes Herb Fair?
Oh, besides the food,
Yeah, exactly. Yes, let's go with besides the food.
yeah. So besides the food, for me, it's just the vibe and the community and the people that have never been there, the people that have been there, year in and year out. There's really like what feels so cozy and safe and I don't know, just really warm, good vibes when you're at the fair. The grounds are incredible. I would say that's another, like the pine trees that are there are just feel really, really special. It's a special plot of land. And then, yeah, I love all my organizers, my co-organizers, and getting to see them and then getting the feedback from people and watching other people engage with each other. And as an organizer, and especially as somebody who has been, running the kitchen and doing a lot of the food, I don't make it to a lot of the classes.
Right.
So really for me, getting to connect with people at those meal times or when they're just kind of chilling out in between classes, grabbing a coffee and just getting to listen to other people's experience and hearing their feedback and really just, you're riding high that whole weekend. It's like a lot of work that goes into making a big event like that happen. And then what you're receiving in gratitude, some strife, but like what you're receiving in gratitude for holding that space and making it all come together. And also like just watching other people really connect and get so much out of it, I think is my favorite part.
Well, yeah, you mentioned strife. I can't imagine you get too much. It's probably, hopefully, a lot of feedback. I haven't mentioned this in the Great Lakes Herb Fair roundtable yet, but do you know the exact size or how many people attend the event? Because I want to say it feels big enough to feel like a really, I don't know, like an epic event of sorts, if you will. But at the same time, I feel like it's also very intimate at the same time. So, how many people attend, and what are your thoughts on like the size of the event?
Yeah, so because of the parking situation on the grounds, we are limited to what we're allowed to have. So our cap, I think every year is somewhere between 175 and 200. We always go over and beg forgiveness and try to
Yeah.
do the best to really like leave the place better than we found it. And so far, we have, and I think that's why they keep inviting us back and
Sure.
allowing us to come. But yeah, I would say that there are some limitations to that space in terms of growth.
Yeah.
But we love the land, we love the space. We really can't imagine it anywhere else.
So you're from Chelsea. How is the event perceived in the like just general Chelsea community?
It's a really interesting question. As
I just
somebody
thought of it.
Yeah, as somebody who actually works in the Chelsea community and is from, I graduated from Chelsea as well. Um, very few people actually know about it. So
Mm,
I will tell people like, oh, have you heard of the Great Lakes Herb Fair? And they're like, no, what's that? And I'll tell people, they're like, oh, I'll go and check it out. So it is really interesting. I think the Chelsea community knows something's going on the weekend of the
right.
fair because there's a lot more people in town, especially right there on Pierce Road. There's a lot of cars and locals that will kind of drive or meander in.
Mm,
And then we're like, sorry, it's a private event. You have to be, have it hold a ticket for the space. And so we've considered like, what would it look like to do just day entry
mm,
or things like that. But we've consistently held our ground on, nope, it's all or nothing,
yeah.
commit to the full experience, the full weekend. And I think that that holds the safest container for everybody. You don't have people wandering in and wandering out.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how you really develop bonds with these people over the course of the weekend. So that's definitely one of the things I appreciate about is making new friends every time I go. So what do you love most about being an herbalist, Shana?
Ooh, what do I love most about being an herbalist? I really think that plants in general, uh, they don't have a voice, but they're doing so much and at all times for the good of our planet and for the good of nature and for us. I would say that I really appreciate and love when I'm able to facilitate someone finding a plant ally that really works for them, that they really resonate with, and then they get to develop that relationship, whether it's with tea or just sitting outside under a tree or through a formula that I, create for them as part of a care plan, or even just in passing in the space that I'm at, where I'm primarily working kind of retail customer service and managing and overseeing a team. Um, oh, have you tried this for that thing you just mentioned? Oh no, well here, why don't you try a sip of this tea that we make? And those kinds of connections and facilitating that, I think, is my favorite part.
Great answer. Well, where can folks learn more about you and your work? Do you want to send them to Eclectic School or where else?
Yeah, you can find me through Eclectic School, so eclectic school of herbal medicine.com. You can also get in touch with me through my website at givingrootwellness.com. You can also get a hold of me through agricolefarmstop.com.
Thank you, Shana. Any chance Thomas Easley will be showing up to this year's event?
It's his birthday every weekend that the fair is, and so
Oh,
likely not this year, but we're hopeful that maybe in a year upcoming.
cool. Yeah, I want to say he was last year. Him and Terry. Oh, I'm misremembering. That was a few years back then.
I don't think he's actually ever made it up for our event. So
Oh, I'm just mixing events up then. Oops.
yeah, I did post up. What year was that? That would have been a 2022. I did post up with the Eclectic School of Herbal
Oh,
Medicine
nice.
table, and I brought some books and I brought some formulas. So I was there representing the school that year.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us on the Great Lakes Herb Fair Roundtable.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. See you soon.
See you soon.
Bye bye.